Good morning.
Good morning.
Whoever you are, wherever you are on life journey, you are welcome here at Wesley UMC this morning. There's nothing we block us from worshiping God and loving one another in His holy place. Here are today's announcements. Pastor Shim is on vacation between January 27 and February 22. Reverend Jin-Young Chuen, pastor of North Boston Korean UNC, will be providing pastoral coverage during his absence. Our seminarians will take turns in delivering the sermons. Pastor Shim can be reached through email, so you can check his email through bracket. Next is about Picture Directory 2020. We now have an updated version of Picture Church Directory now. So please feel free to take one or two directory for better communication within our base community. So you can request about that Picture Directory after worship service. So and for the worship service today, we also have a special preacher this morning, Shim, one of our seminarians. He will deliver sermon for us today. So now I invite you to praise God with More Like You. The phrase we sing page 2001-67, or you can read the words on the screen. Let's sing More Like You. More like you. More like you. Jesus, more like you. Fill my heart with your desire to make me more like you. More like you. More like you. Jesus, more like you. Touch my lips with holy fire and make me more like. One more time, more like you. More like you. Jesus, more like you. Fill my heart desire to make me more like you, more like you, more like you. Jesus, more like you. Touch my lips with holy fire and bring me more like you. Amen. Let us confess our faith again with the song named Let Our Sins Now Living. In the faith we sing, page 2008. Faith we sing, page 2130. Let's sing to you. Will you come and follow me if I walk home your name? Will you go where you don't know and never be the same? Will you let my love be shown? Will you let my We have a small prayer today in the breaking. Let us pray all together. God of grace and clarity, we pray for people who are overlooked, unnoticed, hidden away by policy, in the corners of our minds, of our society, of our world. We give thanks for the people who look us in the eye, who do not preach at our community, who do not turn away from our community, who see us with eyes of love, a different way of seeing. Give us your grace and clarity among us and within us, your different way of seeing. Amen. Today I invite you to praise God together with hymnal, UN hymnal 347, Spirit Song. Now I invite you in affirmation of faith, named as the World Methodist Society affirmation. You can find it in your bulletin or UN hymnal 886. Let us confess our faith, our lead, the normal part, and we will confess together the bold part. Let's confess together. We believe in God. Normal part. And I do it the normal part, and then bold part we will confess together. We believe in God, creator of the world and all people, and in Jesus Christ incarnate among us, who died and rose again, and in the Holy Spirit present with us to guide, strength, and comfort. Let us together. We believe in God, our God of earth. We rejoice in every sign of God's kingdom, in the upholding of human dignity and community, in every expression of love, justice, and reconciliation, and each act of self-giving on behalf of others, in the abundance of God's gifts entrusted to us that all may have in all responsible use of the earth's resources. Glory be to God and on earth peace. We confess our sin, individual and collective, by silence or action, through the violation of human dignity based on race, class, age, sex, nation, or faith, through the exploitation of people because of greed and ignorance, through the misuse of power in personal, communal, national, and international life, through the search for security by those military and economic forces that threaten human existence, through the abuse of technology which endangers the earth and all life upon it. Lord have mercy, Christ have mercy, Lord have mercy. We commit ourselves individually and as a community to the way of Christ, to take up the cross, to seek abundant life for all humanity, to struggle for peace with justice and freedom, to risk ourselves in faith, hope, and love, praying that God's kingdom may come. Thy kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven. Amen. Today's scripture reading comes from Luke 24, verse 13 to 25. Let me read this scripture. On the same day, two disciples were traveling to a village called Emmaus, about 7 miles from Jerusalem. They were talking to each other about everything that had happened. While they were discussing these things, Jesus himself arrived and joined them on their journey. They were prevented from recognizing him. He said to them, "What are you talking about as you're walking along?" They stopped, their faces downcast. The one named Cleopas replied, "I am the only visitor to Jerusalem who is unaware of the things that have taken place there over the last few days." He said to them, "What things?" They said to him, "The things about Jesus of Nazareth. Because of his powerful deeds and words, he was recognized by God and all the people as a prophet. But our chief priests and our leaders handed him over to be sentenced to death, and they crucified him. We had hoped he was the one who would live in Israel. All these things happened 3 days ago. But there's more. Some women from our group have left us stunned. They went to the tomb early this morning and didn't find his body. They came to us saying that they had even seen a vision of angels who told them he is alive. Some of those who were with us went to the tomb and found things just as the woman said. They didn't see him. Then Jesus said to them, "You foolish people, your dogmas keep you from believing all that the prophets talk about. This is the word for the people of God.
Thanks be to God.
Thanks be to God. Today we have a special preacher, as Pastor Shim is having a vacation for 3 weeks. The 3 EU seminarians will deliver sermon in each week. Sang-Wook is also one of the seminarians, and today he has an opportunity to serve our worship service as a preacher. I hope through his preaching we may listen the message of God for this week.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's good to see you, all of you. Oh, actually, I'm really nervous.
Don't be nervous.
Yeah, please understand me if I say so fast. Yeah. So, if I say so fast, just show me this gesture. Yeah, help me out. Yeah. I'm really sorry because this semester is my last semester, so I really participate in this English version. So I'm really sorry. It's an excuse. Yeah. Actually, yesterday I did an interview for doctoral degree student at the Boston University. I'm not sure I did a great job, but yeah, I did. Yeah, so please pray for me. Yeah, if I can be a doctoral degree student at you, I can stay here more. Yeah, yeah. So today's verse is Luke 24, chapter 24, verses 13 to 25. Actually, the 35, but yeah, I read the verses. So I have some questions to think about it. How long and how many times have you spoken with your family? Yeah. How long and how many times have you shared your faith and your interpretation of the Bible with your friends and congregants in our church? Perhaps, including me. Many people say that it is difficult to make time to communicate with one another, even though we are family, church members, because our lives are busy. In current society, it is hard for our family members to eat meals together, even eat meals together. Yeah. Actually, my family now living in South Korea, but when I live together, it's hard to make a time to eat meal together. So many people focus on their own life rather than family and community. So likewise, many church congregants go to their homes after just listening to sermon and having a worship rather than communicating with other church members. So today's Bible text lets us know the importance of conversation among congregants in the church community. So we read the Bible verses. So there are 4 conversations in today's verses. First, in verse 14, 2 disciples talk with each other about Jesus while going to a village called Emmaus. They already knew what happened in Jerusalem. Maybe they talked about Jesus' suffering, death, and resurrection. In verse 15, while they were talking and discussing, and Jesus came near and went with them, but they could not recognize him because their eyes were kept from recognizing him. So from verse 15 to 31, there is a second conversation between Jesus and his 2 disciples. In verse 25, Jesus said to them, 2 disciples, "Oh, how foolish you are, and how slow of heart to believe all that the prophets have declared." Jesus admonished 2 disciples because they did not open their heart and mind to truly believe the resurrection of Jesus. But after eating food with Jesus, they could recognize him as Jesus. In verse 32, there is a third conversation between two disciples. They spoke with each other and felt their hearts burning. Lastly, in verse 33 to 35, there is a first conversation between two disciples and companions, including the 11 disciples. Two disciples shared and delivered their experiences. So, I briefly explain the four conversations in today's verses and what are the differences and what is important for us. You can think about it. Conversation 1 and 3 are the same kind of conversation between two disciples, but there is a big difference. Because conversation 1 is not spoken with open eyes. The journey to Emmaus began in blindness, in gloom, and in a spirit of abandoned hope, according to the Bible text. So this means that conversation 1 is also a conversation without hope. However, in conversation 3, they can feel their hearts burning, meaning that they can have open eyes and a spirit of hope. How did they change their minds? Conversation 2 suggested a few answers. First, they have remembered Jesus' suffering, sacrifice, and his love through the Bible text. Through Moses and other prophets' text, Jesus explained himself in all the scriptures. This is his verses 26 to 27. Second, they have a hospitality as they share a meal with him. One interesting point is that they invited Jesus to the table with them, but Jesus led the meal by taking bread, blessing it, breaking it, and giving it to them. So when I read this part, I interpreted this part as the importance of correlation and reciprocity between preacher and disciples, pastors and congregations. The two disciples are willing to invite another person to the table with them. This hospitality was really crucial, I think, because it leads to breaking up bread and sharing bread together. Breaking and sharing bread not only means sharing food, but also forming a community. So according to one theologian, great and Sander, the breaking of the bread stands for the forming of a community and symbolizes the importance of faith community. So through this conversation and a meal, they can open their eyes and change their heads and heart and finally recognize him as Jesus. He is Jesus. After this one, they can share their story and experience with other people in Jerusalem. What does this Emmaus story give us in our current world? As I questioned when I delivered a sermon, the first part I questioned how many times we make a time and space to talk with one another, to share our story with one another. We need to make time and space to talk with one another. Actually, even me, I cannot say, as you know, I'm an international student, so I cannot speak English well. So sometimes maybe you think I'm a shy boy. I cannot say boy, but shy man. Actually, I live in the worker center. Who live in the about 20 students living there who study the religion. So if I can speak by Korean, I think I'm not sure I'm an outgoing person, but I can say it easily. I mean, how are you? How's it going? How's the semester like that? But I need to say by English instead of Korean. So sometimes I just avoid the situation to talk with one another, even including this church. So please understand me. So I'm trying to say, yeah, all of you, but yeah, sometimes I avoid the time. Please understand me. So through these verses, I want to say that we need to make time and space to talk with one another. So this is because two disciples opened their eyes by communicating with one another and Jesus. How can we truly communicate with one another? I think we need to dismantle our prejudices, stereotypes, and authorities among people, including our leaders. So we cannot deny that we have interpreted the Bible as male-centered. We cannot deny that there are many discrimination like sexism, classism. That kind of discrimination have been rationalized in the name of the Bible. So in Korean society, Korean culture, Korean background is really conservative. So sometimes pastor's sermon or interpretation of the Bible have rationalized the discrimination against the women or the oppressed people. So if we can, I think maybe we can have many stereotypes because we don't know one another. I mean, we don't know the other cultures, other ethnicity, other race. So if we cannot break these stereotypes and authorities, we still stay in the step of conversation. One, close the eyes. They knew the information about Jesus. They knew about the Jesus resurrection, but their eyes were blinded. And they were sad, glue. If we can break our stereotypes and authorities, we can invite others into our community meal and have a true conversation with one another. So by doing so, we can organize a true church community as community of conversation. So please open your mind, heart, and eyes. First, make a time to communicate with your friends and congregants in our church or in your family. Please invite others into your meal. Through having a meal together and having a true conversation together, we can share our faith, confess our burning heart, and finally recognize Jesus, even if He vanished from our sight. So, my sermon's title is What is Your Story? So, before listening to all of your stories, I would like to share my personal story and experience during my Master of Divinity course and living in Boston. Actually, when I was young, I was not interested in theology. Because of my father's business failures, I went to get a lucrative job. But I think I can study theology and pray to God for using me as a servant of God because my mother's influence. When my mother was pregnant with me, she prayed that God would use me for His glory. Yeah. So then, my mother said to me, "I prayed for you before born you." Then I said, what are you talking about? That is your prayer. That is not my prayer. But one day, actually, maybe you know about the morning prayer worship in South Korea. So my mother usually went to church to pray about, I'm not sure, but 6 a.m., maybe 5:30 a.m. And so she always asked me go to church with me, but I said no, I went to sleep. But suddenly one day I wake up in the morning hearing the sound of her going to church. I don't know why, but I had the urge to follow her to church, but she did not recognize it. So I just followed secretly her, and I sat behind her like this, this seat. So I'm behind her and listened to what she said. So I saw my mother crying as she was praying, and her prayer is how I will be used for God. God, please use my son for you, for God. So at that moment, I felt this spring in my heart, and I thought it was as if God was talking to me. So I can recognize my mother's prayer as Jesus' prayer, and my mother's prayer became my prayer, and I received the calling to be used for God's work. So that after that time, I decided to work for God and study theology now. Yeah. So this is my story about why you study theology. Yeah, why you want to be a pastor. And after applying here and coming here, I want to share some stories, my stories. So now, I don't believe it, maybe you cannot believe it. Actually, now I'm a president of our Boston University School of Theology Student Association Group. So I heard that this is the first time international student can be a president in my Department of Theology. So think about it. When I ran for president, actually I didn't know that there is an election. That was the last year, April. So one of my friends said to me, I want to nominate you as the president. I said, what are you talking about? Then he said, oh, your ability is not enough. So I will nominate you. I said, maybe I cannot be voted. Who can vote as a Korean? Who can vote Korean as student? So when I ran for president of the School of Theology, Boston University School of Theology Student Association, I did not think that I could be elected as a president because I'm an international student. But while I had hoped to gain experience in running for president, so it's just experience, I think. I was surprised that, so when I met with friends and asked them to vote for me, they said, I already voted for you. I trust you. You can be a good leader, something like that. So actually, after the voting process, I could be the president. So it's amazing experience. So what I want to say is that although I have a different color and ethnicity and have a deficient English ability, my fellow students really showed an understanding of diversity and inclusion. So through this experience, I also think that I also need to deliver love and dismantle the binaries among differences, regardless of race, color. And also, now I'm participating in Wesley Church, our Wesley Church. So all of you, when I first came here, I remember, all of you welcomed me and, how can I express? All of you showed an understanding of diversity and inclusion. So I feel your kindness and generosity and try to understand regardless of my race. And, So that I want to express gratitude to all of you. So this is my story and experience. So I would like to listen to your story and experience when we have a time to communicate one another. So like Emma's story and my story, so share your story and experience through group meetings, through tea time, and community meal time. So God is still working during the communication and meetings. God is still working with us and in us. So let's make a community that shares our experience and story without binaries among our congregants, and recognize our Jesus by opening our eyes, hearts, and minds. So I'm convinced that those who are listening to this sermon are the ones who will properly communicate with others. Yeah. Amen. Thank you.
You're preaching. This time is for offering. So for the offering, we praise through E4 in UN Hymnal page 507. Lord, we thank for your faithfulness. Thank you that we can always trust you. You are an abundant God, and out of your great mercy, you have given us so much. We give you this offering today. We worship you and give our whole selves to you. Please now take it and use it for your kingdom and your glory. Extend and multiply its reach and influence, we pray. May it be a great blessing to many. We ask all this in the powerful name of Jesus. Amen. Amen. Today's last prayer song is Is It Well in My Soul? You can find UN Hymnal 377. Let us praise together God's presence and protection in everyday life. Is well in my soul. When his cycle with my soul. It is well with my soul. My sin, all the grace of His glorious soul. My sin not in part, but the whole is nailed to the cross, and I'm there in no more. Praise the Lord, praise the Lord, oh my soul. It is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. And Lord, as the day when my faith shall be signed, the clouds below red as a storm, the trump shall resound, and the Lord shall descend. Even so, it is well in my soul. It is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. We close our worship service with Lord's Prayer. And let us pray together. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your kingdom come, your will be done. On earth as in heaven, give us today our daily bread. Forgive us our sins, as we forgive those who sin against us. Save us from the time of and deliver us from evil, for thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory. Amen. Today's passing of peace is in Korean. 주님의 평화. 주님의 평화. Yes, that's passing of peace.
nervous.